Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 4 of the Modern Monks podcast. With me this evening, and as always, my partner in SAS, Easy E from AccuFit in Thirroul. We'd just like to have a few little thank yous. Obviously, AccuFit Thirroul that I just mentioned, the big man shop. If you need a sprucing, get the body on the right train to being healed. You go see the big dog out in Thirroul, soon to be Wollongong.
Yeah.
Come and check it out.
And Shell Cove. Come wherever. We're taking over South Coast.
You are anyway.
Got your girlfriend's over. Yeah.
Ghetto movement. Always keeping Eamon and I comfortable sitting down, legs crossed, even though Eamon's sitting on about 17 cushions tonight.
Poor hip flexor, but thank you for sharing that, bro.
Definition Fitness, the guys downstairs always looking after us and accommodating us, shooting our podcasts. The guys are excellent. If you're ever looking for good muscle gain and fat loss, they're the guys to see. And on the opposite side of fat loss, we've got our other epic sponsor, Jimmy's Burgers. Every Friday night, that's our go-to. They are the greatest burgers in the Illawarra. If you haven't had one, do yourself a favour and get in there. You will not be disappointed. I think that just about covers up the thank yous and the welcomes. How you been?
Been really good, man. It's been an interesting half month so far. June's been a bit hectic. Obviously, we've got changes going on with the business and stuff like that. Life's been leveling a little bit, and I found there's been a little bit of evolution going on in the body. You know, after we finished last episode, and I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people that listened in. We're talking a lot about urgency and stuff that we settled on last episode, and yeah, it's definitely been something that I've been thinking about, my business, my personal life, where I'm at in that sense.
Anything in particular? Because at the end of last episode, it was we were touching on the, like, what are you afraid of, and you made that epic statement of, like, your judgment at the end.
Yeah.
Like, and it sort of sat true for me too, because you always do think at the end of training session, at the end of an exam, at the end of pretty much anything you do, like, oh, did I give that everything I could have? And if you're asking yourself that question, chances are no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You took a shortcut, you cheated a little, or you did whatever you had to do to spare yourself a little bit of time or a little bit of effort or whatever it was to make it easy.
Yeah. And I think that, and life, that's the funny thing about that kind of statement, and the funny thing about being honest with yourself is sometimes you don't know. Like, it's taken me a lot of time, and I feel like only really recently I've figured out that we have like 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, but people don't realize 60 to 70,000 thoughts. And of all those thoughts, it might be like menial tasks, brush my teeth, do this, do that, but they're all habit patterns. And when you think about it, and you look at your week, and you look at your month, and you look at your year, and there's consistency in what you do. There's a day-to-day, there's something that you do the same every single day. And you may be conscious of it, you may be unconscious of it. And I think that when we tied into that at the end, I really reflected on it afterwards, because I find that a lot of times I'm lying to myself. I'm telling myself that, you know, that was a good session, or that, like, I did enough, or I worked hard, or, like, for example, I have a client come in, and some days if I'm in a not so great headspace and someone comes in and they're like, oh, this didn't work for me, and I can't afford it, or I can't come to the next treatment, or I've got this excuse and that excuse. Sometimes I'm like, if I'm on the front foot, I'm fighting for that person because I really want to help them. And I'm like, no, you got to stop that mentality. You got to nip it in the butt. You need to get in for treatment. Enough's enough. You know, whatever, 2017, 2018, something's different this year that it wasn't last year. But sometimes someone comes in and I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. And I catch myself in that moment. I'm like,
sorry, can't help you.
Yeah, I'm like, if you don't want my help, fine. And sometimes I tell myself, hey, let it go, like water off a dust bag. Someone doesn't want your help, it's fine. But then I leave that thing and I go, did I do that because it was for them, or did I do that for me? Because I didn't have that energy, I didn't have that effort that time.
You've got to be careful too, because your trade in particular, and anyone that works a lot of face-to-face stuff, like, it's just an energy transaction. Like, you're literally giving away your energy to someone else every time, you know, you have a conversation or they have a question or something like that. It's very important in this day and age to manage your energy, because emotionally you've only got so much to spend every day.
Right.
And it can be on that day that it's just like, don't care.
Yeah.
okay, cool, acupuncture didn't work for you. Oh, okay, your deep squat didn't improve. My bad. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Wasn't that you didn't do training all week, or you deadlifted 600 kilos yesterday. It's my fault. Yeah, sweet. All right, bye.
Yeah.
And it's so important to notice when that's starting to just tip one way or the other.
Yeah. And it can come for a variety of reasons. But I always thought for like the longest time that it came because life was saying to me, you can't help everybody. You can't save everybody. And I didn't realize that you have habit patterns naturally that you're conscious of or unconscious of, where you make decisions every day, whether it's finishing that set, working a little bit harder, you've got an extra bit of juice in the tank and you run an extra K, for example, or you don't need to cheat on your diet and you don't feel like doing it, so you don't, or you do and you're like, what did I do that for that particular person, that setting. But in that treatment setting, I'm like, am I doing this for me? Am I doing it for them? And when you catch yourself in these lies and stuff like that, I think it's interesting.
Well, ultimately, that's exactly what does happen though. Like whatever you're having trouble with internally manifests itself externally. And I know it pops up for me all the time, and like once you start to notice it, it pisses you off even more because you're like, God damn it. Like this is all so unnecessary. I could make everything run so much smoother if for 5 seconds I just stopped and thought about what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like every time Em and I have a fight, and it's 90% of the time, sometimes it's her fault, but 90% of the time, it's generally me being cranky, short-tempered, annoyed about something that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm just like, yeah, it's your fault. You made me do this. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, God damn it. Go and apologize, fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to do that. But as soon as I unpack it, exactly what I said to her was just me shouting at me.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this. And then the same thing happens when I come to class and teach. Someone in the class will always ask a question that annoys me. And it's a super simple question. It's like, oh, is it the left foot forward or the right foot? And in my head, I'm like, take a look around the room. Everyone's got their left foot forward.
Yeah.
And I sort of, clench the back of my jaw and I'm like, it's the left foot. But as soon as like you go through a little bit more and I put myself in that opposite position, I'm always the guy that asks all the little questions the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn it, it's happening again. Like,
Yeah.
So it's building that resilience up to, one, be able to take what I give when I'm on the other side of things, but also to not let those little things bother you. Like, there's no reason why that should actually get under your skin, other than the fact that during that day I probably had something annoy me to an extent that I didn't have the energy to have that exchange and just say, oh, it's your left foot, bro.
Yeah.
Take a quick glance. Like, it's no big deal. But those little things, they get the best of you.
Yeah.
And it's always something that's going on internally that makes you snap. And then all of a sudden you're blaming someone else for it. And if you're not in touch with that, then you're going to keep blaming them. And all of a sudden it's a bit of a like, oh, they did this to me, they did that to me. But it's your fault.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one to blame.
Well, but even like on a less responsibility, wrong or right standpoint, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if someone's right and you're wrong, or you're right and they're wrong, because ultimately it's affecting you. It's your headspace. It's your actions. It's your life. It doesn't really matter if someone was shitty in customer service today, or you're working in a school and some kid's causing a ruckus in class and you want to reprimand them, or if you're in a clinic, or if you're at the gym, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter, because ultimately we need to recognize what's happening in that moment and why we're acting that way and why we're reacting, and what we're seeing in that external setting that's reflecting some internal dysfunction. Because there's no chance that you're 100% right all the time.
Can't be.
And there's no way you're 100% wrong all the time.
Well, it's perfect. Like, it's funny that you said that, because we were literally talking about it. I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday, but allowing yourself to be wrong is allowing yourself to grow.
Yeah.
So if we sit down and I'm telling you, 1 and 1 equals 2, and you go, actually, if you go 1 plus this and this and 1, it doesn't actually equal 2, and there's this mythical area that it actually equals this, like the way I was taught where I grew up. Now I could sit here and go, look, mate, I think it's possible that you might be drinking your own bathwater. Or I can go, okay, tell me more about that. Enlighten me in what you know. So I'm opening myself up for more knowledge. And then I may be right, you may be wrong, it doesn't matter, but I've allowed myself to open up to something that could be a further possibility.
Yeah.
Something that could be a bigger picture. But if you just straight away go, nah, you're an idiot, you're never going to give yourself that opportunity.
Yeah.
So like, you know, the 1+1 thing is probably a shitty example, but you know, in any shape of things, you know, a handstand, for instance, I would consider myself getting towards being a good coach, and I would know a fair bit about teaching someone to get from point A to point B in a handstand. And you could come into the class and go, oh, but I heard this. Instantly, I can already imagine that situation, and my neck would just be like, shut up, mate. What do you know? Like, you've done 3 handstands in your life. But what you've said might be 100% true.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be an arrogant dick and not take that into consideration, then I'm stopping myself from being able to grow further and being able to give more long term.
Yeah.
So if you assume you're right about everything, you've given yourself a ceiling. You can't grow past that.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I was thinking, it's actually reminded me of something, because I'm terrible with money, terrible with finances, right?
Guilty.
Like, every time.
Maybe that's why we're friends.
I think so, man.
We suck.
Yeah, we just suck. I'm gonna put it together, and hopefully that just 2 negatives make a positive. The old maths. When I was obviously everyone's reading and like applying that Barefoot Investor book, right? One of the things he said to me,
I failed at that too.
Yeah.
I sucked at it, man. It's harder than you think. Yeah. I'm so lucky. I've got a wife and then a money man for the business. Shout out to Em and Dubs. You guys keep me afloat.
For now, anyway. And he said, there was something interesting in the first, I remember like distinctly when you're talking like the first chapter, he said something like, why are you with the bank that you're with? And I was like, I don't know, I'm with CommBank because I'm with CommBank. And they go, chances are...
No shout outs to big corporate businesses.
Right now, yeah.
Like,
with
like Triple J, no shout outs.
Yeah,
no brand.
Insert bank name there. And they were like, chances are that your family is part of that bank, or part of that organisation they've been in with, and then you just naturally went into it, and they got you from a young age. And I was like, all of my banking decisions about my money, about the energy, you know, that you receive, value for service, is part of some bank, right? But that's the information that you're getting is from one bank, but it's from an action that somebody else made without me knowing. I just somehow subconsciously jumped onto this bank, and now I'm with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you hereditarily joined a bank.
Yeah. But I made no active choice in that. So my finances have been affected by my choices with that, like the low interest thing or whatever the hell, right? It's like you made choices unconsciously based on your environment providing and facilitating a thing. So when you look at that and you extend that into every other choice that you make, like how you can't take full responsibility about being wrong or being right in certain situations, because you've just been handed certain information, like certain guarantees of life, that you will always have a family around you, that you will always have friends around you, that you will always be financially sound, that you will always have a good career. All these things are being provided by examples by other people, but they're not necessarily set in stone. They're not necessarily guaranteed. And they're only guaranteed because someone else has provided that. So that environment around you is so important, so critical to make active choices for yourself, but recognize that they're not all your own choice.
Yeah, and that's it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? Because on one hand, it comes down to trust, but on the other hand, like you completely, like it's not even about you. It's an unconscious decision that you're just going along with.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can put it down to, oh yeah, well, why would they lead me astray? They did it. It will work for them. It would work for me. But then there's this other side that it's like there's no conscious thought behind it whatsoever, and you're just going with it for shits and gigs. Like, you just get led down this path.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
And you extend that to all groups. It's like your neighbor next door may be your best friend, but he's really only your best friend because you're gonna grow up together, or he or she or whatever. And you look at it and you go, it's proximity. If someone next door wanted to play cricket in the street with you, suddenly you're best friends, suddenly you've gone through a lot of shit together, and now in your life, you may have someone in your life who's a drag, who's just like, somehow just like killing you from like, you know, being a toxic person or something like that. And you don't even know, because it's just proximity. And certain things have been provided in your setting around you, and you have to recognize what's serving you and what's not serving you. And it's fucking hard. But it all comes back to like...
Yeah. And it's that old thing, like, and when you're young, you don't really think too much about it. It's like when your parents used to say, when you grow up, you're lucky to still be in contact with one person that you went to school with.
Yeah.
When I was going through school, I was like, Mum and Dad, you must have had the shittest friends ever, because all my friends are the best. I'm going to be friends with them for forever. Keep in contact with everyone. Like, you know, my wedding will consist of everyone that I went to school with.
We're going Sizzler once a month.
Yeah. Once a month. Catch up at Sizzler with Eamon. Fucking Sizzler. But it's not the case. And it's been something that I've been marinating on a lot with growth. And you never like the idea of letting people go, or you never want to admit that your friendship drifted away with someone. You know, anytime someone goes, oh, who's this? You're like, oh, yeah, we're super tight. You know, we talk shit. We don't talk at all. Yeah. But we were really good friends back in the day. And that's all well and good. It doesn't mean you guys are crap friends or you're bad people or anything like that. Just life takes one person this way and another person that way. Like, everyone is not meant to be together forever. Like, you know, friendships come and go for whatever reason and whatever chapters you are in your life. And it's interesting because lately it's been a lot of, like, in my own life, questioning a lot of, you know, the people I have around me and how I intertwine with them. You know, what I can give to them and essentially what I can take back. You know, their energy obviously feeds me, and you want it to be a good relationship where it's give and take, because otherwise, you know, someone's going to get jacky. You're stealing all their energy or their ideas or, you know, all their positivity. And they're going to be like, listen, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Yeah, right. You're a crappy friend. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. Yeah. But, so I probably tangented off a little bit there, but what I'm getting at is the fact that people spend so much time worrying about maintaining certain friendships for whatever reason it is, but there's always a superficial reason behind it. The perfect example is you and I specifically.
Superficial friendship.
Well, there's always an ulterior motive behind stuff. Like, you and I, we're good friends. We can talk shit. We can tell each other whatever we want. Doesn't matter. It's always going to be taken with a grain of salt, partly because we always talk so much shit and you never know if anyone's being serious. Yeah. But in the sense of professionalism, where we're moving towards at the moment, and we'd both be kidding ourselves if we didn't say this wasn't a motive to pursue our friendship further, is the fact that we can help each other professionally.
Oh, 100%.
Like, what you bring to the table is completely separate to what I bring to the table, but they mesh so well together.
Yeah.
So there's that superficial background to, you know, the lovely upfront friendship that we do have. And if anything were to ever happen, I'm sure there would be that little bit of like hesitation because, oh shit, business was doing so good when E was here. I don't want to lose that. Or I'll start sucking up his ass and, you know, I'll ask him over for dinner. I'll see if I can go mow his lawn, change a tyre because he can't do that much manly stuff. Oh, you know,
lift heavy things. What else, bro? Just feeble, am I? But to unpack that further, it's like, I think the fact that you can say that and I take that on board and go, yeah, sweet, is so important, because I look at that and I go, I feel like I know pretty much exactly where I stand. And that makes it easier to have a friendship, because I can go, yeah, we have friendship, but let's just put that aside because we both got big dreams that may run in the same channel for a while.
Yeah.
Parallel, baby.
And you just don't know when that's going to run out.
Yeah.
But I think, and it's like you just said, that's the beautiful part of the friendship, is that we're both conscious of that. So I think it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
You know, maybe yours goes a little left, mine goes a little right. But I mean, we're always going to have that core that we can sort of stay in the same touch. And there's always going to be an element that we can help each other out and remain friends through thick and thin. Mm. But I think where people get stuck is that they think, oh, you know, I owe this person something. So now I'm going to bend my back trying to make it up to them. When really, I just want to be over here, you know, going about my business, chasing my dreams, doing other things. But you hold yourself back because of this commitment you feel like you have to fulfill. But even further than that, what you're doing is avoiding, whatever it is over here that, the greener grass on the hill. You're avoiding that internally because you feel like you're not worthy, you're not ready, any of those little insecurities that start to pop up when change starts to occur. So you instinctively hold on to the thing that reminds you of the sameness that you've been having.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're clinging to that friend that you think you owe, you're telling yourself you owe something to, so you can hang around in this little, pool that you've been cruising in for so long and you're so comfortable in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that slips away and you resent the friend for holding you back when you could have been out exploring your, human potential and discovering, unconscious divinity.
Yeah. Yeah, just on a weekend. But or not though, right?
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff is self-awareness, and all that stuff is acceptance. I think it's a decision of, like, when you look internally, when you look at a relationship and you go, like we look at ours and go, there's a business side of things, so we reprimand each other on that, we keep each other accountable on that, and then on a personal level we try and do the same thing, right? But in different ways. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a narcissist. I'd be lying if I said that my ego wasn't huge and that everything that I do is within my own self-interest. And if you told me that you were doing this for, like, because you're Jesus incarnate and you're the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa all packed into one.
I'd say chosen one.
Yeah,
chosen one.
Alleged chosen one. Then who was just doing...
Buddha, you wrote me an email.
Right.
Said,
send me a text.
you're the chosen one.
So if you said to me that you that there wasn't something out of this relationship that you didn't want, I would be more unsettled by our joint venture moving forward, right? So if someone said to me, if one of my friends came to me, and I actually had a conversation with a mutual friend the other day, and he called me up and I was talking about something. I was talking about doing an Ironman and running and stuff like that. And he was like, I hope you're not... Yeah. Shut up, bro. Sometimes I do things.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. It was a triathlon, actually.
You're going to do a triathlon?
Yeah. Well, I was going to, shout out to everybody. Anyone who wants to sponsor... potential, it's going to be in the ocean, so potential drowning beluga whale, if I make it on the bike, and a run as well. But that's neither here
All
nor
right,
there.
so yeah, you were talking about a triathlon.
So
allegedly talking about a
triathlon.
triathlon. I kind of feel like this might have happened in a dream state.
And one of my friends who was going through a bad time said to me, or he got in a crappy headspace, is like, I hope you're not referring to something else that I'm doing. And I said, look, let me just interject here. I don't want to talk about you right now. I'm talking about myself because I want to air out something like that. I've heard you talk about your stuff. Now we're talking about my stuff. And when I finish, we can talk about your stuff. I need you as my friend to help me unpack this. We can't just talk over each other. You know what I mean? Otherwise, nothing. I leave the conversation. I go, fuck, we just spoke for 45 minutes and I have no idea what I'm doing moving forward. You help me. I help you. It's like a friendship. It's like a synergistic quality. It's a relationship.
Isn't it odd though how people like sort of instantly just go, like, their insecurity comes out straight away and they're just like, whoa, wait, hang on. Are you talking about me? Like, and you're like, no, all right, Cullum Farm focuses on me right now, spotlight.
Yeah, it's shine the light on me.
But like, it happens. It's everyone does it.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as you hear something, you're like, wait, was that a stab at me?
Yeah.
It's like, shit, am I really that insecure that I think everyone's talking about me all the time?
Are they all talking about me all the time?
Yeah. They could be.
They could be.
But not in this case. Eamon needed some help.
Yeah. And I openly asked for, that was the thing, is like, I had to shut the convo down and be like, I need help because I need your guidance as my friend. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, when you look at and unpack a relationship like that, and some of this stuff may have gone unsaid before, where he just left that conversation, or she left that conversation and just walked away going, fuck, I think Eamon's talking about me behind my back, or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. That's not about what I was talking about. But when we look at relationships and we look at that with aspects, is that there is a quality in which all the people in around us, we need them. You need your parents, you need your friends, you need your work colleagues, you need all these people who are part of a community entity. But you need their feedback to give you an indication of whether you're making good choices or bad choices for yourself. Whether you're acting in accordance to whatever your inner truth is. And whatever your inner truth is. If everyone around you tells you everything's fucking cotton candy and great, I don't think you are doing great. Because you still need to evolve, you still need to move forward. If everyone's telling you it's wrong, they're also wrong.
My dad used to always say, if you're not making mistakes, you're not making much.
Yeah.
And like, that just rings true for me. Like, everyone that says to you, oh yeah, you're doing really well, and I've got no feedback for you, like, oh, maybe you should think about not doing this. Maybe you should go easy on the handstands on Instagram for a little while. Yeah. Like, anything like that, if someone's not willing to tell you, you need to change your circle up.
Yeah.
You need people to be like, listen, we get it. You're doing this, you're doing that. Maybe think about doing this and not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, change the game a little bit, because if someone's not challenging you, they're not going to help you change. They're not going to help you evolve. And it's that same old thing that if, like as we said before, if you can't admit that you're wrong, or that aspects of your life need work, then you're shutting yourself off to that evolutionary change, that evolutionary shift where you can go from, you know, A to Z eventually. And if you're sitting there and you're like, you know, my life's sick, you know, I do this, I did that, I got a cool car, and I go on a holiday once a year, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the life that you want to live. I don't know. But to me, that just seems empty and repetitious. You know, if there's no steps forward, what are you really achieving? Like, if you're just happy to sit and swim in the shallows, like, you know, you're never going to get that excitement of playing in the waves or any of that sort of stuff that, you know, really is the essence of life. You know, to me, you know, obviously there's people that don't have that same ideology, but I just feel like if nothing's changing, boredom sneaks in, you know, everything becomes a little bit monotonous and the excitement kind of fades. And that's where you see people making shitty decisions in life, and it starts to go a little bit downhill. And, you know, I just think if you're surrounded with people that are going to lift you up, are going to help you drive forward, are going to help you achieve your goals, then, you know, it won't be long until you have new friends, or until you have different friends and different circles, because that's how it goes. Yeah. When you are on that path, everyone gets to certain points and you start to branch out and you start to go into different subgroups and you start to do different things. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the more variety of people you have in your life, the more susceptible you are to growth and success, because you can't just sit and eat a bland, you know, rice by itself all day. You know, you throw some spices in, you get some vegetables, some protein, whatever you need, mix it up. All of a sudden you've got a beautiful creative bowl of food. Now, for everyone at home that's not following, the bowl of food is your life. All right? Beautiful, spiced up, bright colors, good tasting, variety in your life. And I just don't think people are very open to that anymore. And I think that they get so caught up in this is how it has to be, that they're missing on how it could be.
Yeah. And I think that, like, through an extension of what we were talking about at the start, is you don't know this until you admit that maybe you haven't made the best choices. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily looking externally and going, fuck, Will's right. I don't think that I'm getting along with my friends and everything's not really good. My fucking friends. I knew it was those.
I knew it was everyone else's fault.
It's
everyone else's fault. You guys have been holding me back.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to do that?
Yeah.
But this is the flip side of everything is this. You can harp on about this all day, and every time it happens, I nearly said it to you a minute ago when you were talking about that conversation, and you said that the person you were talking to was like, oh, wait, are you referring to me? Now, if you flip that situation around, have you manifested in that person to ask that question so you could put your foot down? No, this is about me. So you could have some me time moment and have that little rant and outburst. Were you giving yourself permission for that from that conversation happening?
Yeah.
You know, and it's always that deep step forward where you go, hang on, what's really going on here? Is this me, or is this, you know, actually them?
Yeah.
There's always, it's a very slippery slope when it comes to a point, and it's like, you know, it's very easy to go, oh man, they're so caught up in their bloody insecurities and what they're thinking about. They're not listening to my problems. But did you do that to someone earlier and that's why it's coming back to you?
Yeah.
Or, you know, is that happening to you right then and there because that person's actually crying out for an ear and you're not listening?
Yeah. Yeah, fuck.
It's heavy.
But
It's a slippery slope, man. You could
slope.
just dive straight down there.
Fuck you and Alice going down to Wonderland, mate.
Just
Far out.
like, get
How
me
do I
out.
get back out?
Shit.
Yeah.
I can see the light, but
It's
such
like
a
digging
high
yourself.
climb.
It's like unpacking it deeper. You just can't get out.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're just sitting with a fucking shovel. You're like, God damn
In a
it.
pool of
Again.
water. Shit, I've done it again.
Amen. Help me out.
I'm down here with you, bro.
Drop the rope. Someone drop the rope.
But I think that's like, and that extension of that is like, when I was having that conversation, I heard myself telling me and giving me doubt on one side. And I recognize that in itself. And I recognize myself as not being a very good listener and making situations about myself. And being like, how does this impact me? How does Will's story impact what I'm doing right now? How can I learn from that? Instead of being like, shut the fuck up, bro, and listen to your friend. Your friend needs some advice. Just be fucking present. How about that? How about you just do that for a change? Instead of being like, I wonder how I can marinate.
Yeah, geez, what did he just say? Yeah.
How
And
is this?
do you know, I had this conversation. So I've been like writing a lot while I talk to people, and I only said to a friend I was having a chat with the other day, because I just noticed people say absolute gems, and then later I'm like, fuck, what did they say? What did that mean to me? But now, so when I'm talking to someone on the phone, I have a chat with someone catching up about whatever it is, I have my journal there and I'm like writing down, and I'm writing these things and I put it in quote marks and I start to draw a pretty picture around it, and I'm like, holy fuck, I've missed the last 40 seconds of this conversation. And, you know, sure, I've got this one gem written down in this pretty picture that makes absolutely no sense, but I've disserviced myself by not being present enough to listen to what's going on, and I've disserviced my friend by not, you know, being able to contribute because I'm too busy drawing a stick figure doing a handstand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that level of, you know, you need to be able to take stuff in to be able to take stuff away. But also, if you go in a little too selfish, you're actually shortchanging yourself because you're missing out on what could be the golden nuggets that you're supposed to be hearing that day.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to find that happy medium.
And I don't think it's easy as being like, I think being aware of it and recognizing
It's
in the
constant.
moment.
It's constant. Yeah. Like there's no way. I don't even reckon Buddha could sit there and take it all in. Like, yeah, sure, maybe Yoda, because you know he's a pretty enlightened cat. But I just think there's an element of knowing all of this stuff, and then there's putting it into practice constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about 7 to 9 minutes behind the 8 ball when it comes to this stuff. I say something, I react, and then I'm like, God damn it, I did it again. Like, I should not have made that rash decision. I should not have said what I said. I should not have made that play. I could have waited a couple more minutes. I needed to think. I needed to breathe. God damn it, why? And then I'll journal about it and say, next time, do this. And then the next time, I did it again.
But maybe that run time's a little bit shorter though.
Maybe it is. But I think being conscious of it is a really good step forward.
Yeah.
You know, implementation is obviously key in everything. You know, knowledge is power. Power is wasted unless implemented.
Yeah.
So it's good to have the skills. It's good to have the knowledge. It's also good to know when and how to use them. So like slowly building ways of implementation, working it into your life so that it becomes second nature. It becomes those automatic habits that you spoke of earlier.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes a long time to get rid of the old shitty habits you have. So it takes a lot of time to get it going, to get the things that you want to do happening.
But think about it, it's not even just one decision here and there. I mean, that's what you do to take that first step. But you're combating 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And they're little choices. The choices to react, to larger macro situations, but also micro situations.
After our last podcast, I picked up, and it was straight after you said, like, your judgment is what you fear at the end of the day. And so, like, I normally journal every day, twice a day, morning and night. And since I got back from my honeymoon, I've been really crap with it. And it wasn't until the podcast last week, and I changed everything around, and that's how I've adapted. How you do one thing is how you do everything is my mantra at the moment.
Love it.
And so I'm trying to apply that across the board, whether it's training, whether it's a routine, whether it's keeping stuff clean at home. So like, for example, when I get out of bed, I normally just leave it and try and let Emma sleep because it's super early in the morning. But now I'm getting out of bed and I'm pulling my corner of the bed back over to semi-make it, because that's an action of leaving something finished. So I then walk out, and if I see something sitting on the floor, I'm trying to get into that habit of pick it up and put it away now, rather than that can wait till later. Because if you keep making everything wait till later, you'll start to make other stuff wait for later that shouldn't be being left for later. And I noticed when I started paying attention, all of a sudden, you know, I went from being that young, enthusiastic cat. Well, I'm still young, but and still enthusiastic. But I went from being that guy that's not a cat. I went from showing up 10 minutes early to everything to like 10 seconds early for everything, like borderline late for every appointment that I would make. It's like, that's a really bad habit to fall into. And that comes from going, that can wait. You wait till the last possible minute to do everything. Everyone does it. Phone bills, petrol. Who the fuck fills their car up when it's half empty? No one. Everyone waits till it gets to the bottom.
Sociopath, yeah.
So you do, just in case.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then you start to do the same thing with your body. And we've had a conversation about that. Like, if you're not nourishing your body when it's half empty and you wait till it's empty, it's too late. Your body's not going to survive. You're going to give yourself fatigue. You're not going to be able to perform at your best. So all these things carry over to different aspects of your life. And you can sit there and you can think to yourself, oh, this is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Bullshit. Do it in your own life. Play with the variables. And I promise you, everything will cross over. If you're the kind of person that leaves something to the last minute, I guarantee you're showing up to uni late. Guarantee you're showing up to a class late. Guarantee you don't turn up to do your yoga class until a couple of minutes before, or maybe even right on time. All these things will carry over.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't fill up your car until it's bone dry, guarantee in some stage you are fatiguing yourself so much that you probably can't even sleep well.
Yeah.
You know, all these things carry over from one aspect to another. So after that conversation we had, I've made it a conscious effort, and I'm not perfect at it yet. I know I've got a bloody basket of clean washing sitting at the end of my bed right now that I haven't made time to put away. But I'm conscious that it's there, and I'm conscious that I need to get it done so I can break the chain.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's, so for the next little bit, however long it takes to set that habit, that's my thing. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if I want to achieve perfection to whatever level in my handstand practice, in my business, then I need to be achieving that in my personal life.
Yeah.
You know, I need to be achieving it across the board. Otherwise, if one thing falls, everything falls. It's a house of cards.
Yeah, I love that. Because that just applies to everything. How are you going to become the person that you want to be? Like Jordan Peterson, someone like that, has come to, like, you know, so popular of late, right? If you don't clean your room...
I've never heard of him.
Never heard of him? If you don't clean your room, how are you going to do anything of value? Like, how are you going to change the world if you can't do the fundamentals right, the basics right? Everyone wants to go from... I'm guilty of it every single day. I want to get to B, and I'm still at A, and I'm like, okay, like, how am I going to get that multi-billion-dollar contract for acupuncture from, like, the World Sports Team or whatever? How am I going to get there? I'm like, should I do a Facebook ad? What should I do? And I look around my office. It's a little bit dirty. Stuff's cluttered. And I look at that and I go, Facebook ad. What am I going to do to get LeBron in here? How do I do that, right? And you make that's a choice. I had that moment to make a choice, and I decided against it to stick in my habit pattern. And that habit pattern just filters into all aspects of your life, like you were saying. And I think that everyone's guilty of it, and you recognize in the moment when you're making a choice that you always make, that's part of this 60 to 70 hours thoughts a day where you don't change what you're doing. And whatever it is that motivates you, if it's like that conversation we had the other day about time and about urgency, if that's important to you, if you look at your life and you're like, shit, I don't know how much time I have left, but I want to get remembered, and like you want to get remembered as one of those people who was like, he was a good person, he was a kind person, and he got shit done. You don't want to be the person who's like, oh, he had about 400 unfinished projects. Great.
You don't want to be that person that dies and then you leave your kids to open up your filing cabinet and it's just shit. Yeah.
Is it just drawings on the spaceship or something like that? You know what I mean? Like,
I couldn't do it in real life, so I drew stick figures of it.
Yeah.
It is, man. It's super powerful I feel like we've made a good first step. We're conscious of the fact that that is how things work. And I used to be very skeptical. I used to be like, just because I don't make my bed doesn't mean I can't do this. And then I started noticing little things around my life. Like I would walk past a piece of rubbish on the road and not put it in the bin. How hard is it to bend over, pick something up, put it in the bin on your way past? Like you're literally walking that way anyway. So it's like, make the effort to do that and you'll make the effort to do other things. And eventually those things add up and you're just automatically achieving things that should be hard work, but they're not, because it's then a habit. You know, you're climbing the mountain without knowing it because you've just been taking gradual little steps forward.
Yeah.
You know, picking up the rubbish. Then all of a sudden you're tucking your shirt in to go to a meeting. You're looking a little bit more presentable. And then people all of a sudden go, oh, geez, that guy was really well presented. Like he must look after himself. You know, he must do this, he must do that. And all of a sudden their perception may be completely wrong of you, but that's going to dictate how their relationship builds with you. You know, and this day and age, that's all we've got is relationships with people. Because if you can't intermix with the people that are around you, then you're not going to be able to move forward and, you know, leverage people's, you know, knowledge and power in certain aspects of life.
Life's too hectic.
Life's way too hectic.
People coming in and out of your life all the time. When we look at social media, look at Facebook, look at how things are set, right? I was talking about this the other day with one of my patients. He's an ex-practitioner. And he was saying no one ever wants to answer the phone. When you call someone, they don't want to answer. People don't want that interaction. Everything is, you know, text, email, whatever.
Well, it's so much easier to say no to someone via text.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
or say I never got it.
Now, Bitmoji.
Yeah.
Like we don't even text no more.
Yeah.
It's just this series of little cartoon character photos.
Yeah.
Which are hilarious, but you know, the disconnection's getting bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger.
Because like, and how, I can't even dive into that rat hole. Like, let's go back. Let's back up because otherwise we'll tangent off. But the point I think we're trying to make here is that relationships with people are more important now than ever because everyone is getting disconnected, not only with themselves, but with the environment around them. And I think that it's a very powerful thing to be able to communicate well with other people, you know, and it does worry me a little bit about raising a child in this world because, you know, it's getting more and more screen oriented and, you know, everyone's down here and looking at their phone. It worries me severely because everyone makes a conscious effort to do it on some level, I'm sure, but no one goes and just does something for the pure joy of it anymore. You know, It's like, I have to do this because I'm going to take an Instagram shot, or I have to do this because my trainer said I have to, or I have to do this because so-and-so did it.
You need to change that terminology to I have to I get to.
Yeah, I get to. Yeah. It's a gift that I can go and jump in the cold ocean. You know, it's a gift that I can walk barefoot and, you know, in a park that's surrounded by trees and rivers or whatever it is, instead of, oh, it's a chore to leave the house. Yeah. You know, and it's just...
And that reconnection comes not externally. It's not going to come from something online. It's not going to come from anything around you. It's going to come from within.
You said a brilliant thing when we had one of our retreats, and it was unplugged because we call the retreats unplugged because we're unplugging ourselves from society a little bit, and we go and just hang out with people, phones go away. And he said, when you're sitting and meditating or sitting and watching the sun come up, it's a beautiful experience. You can ground yourself, you can become a part of that exact moment. But if you're too busy trying to catch the perfect photo of that moment, you can't look at the photo later and ground yourself or be in that moment again. You lose the rawness, you lose the realness of that precise moment when you can just melt into the universe and become a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, a photo, sure, you can look back on it and go, gee, that was beautiful. But you can't have that moment back. So why shouldn't you soak it up for all it's worth? Yeah. Like Em and I went for a walk this afternoon It was the first time I've walked back down past the ocean pools that have been closed for the last year and a half. And it used to be well, it still is. But it was my favourite spot in Wollongong to go over like of an afternoon or a morning, either at sunset or sunrise. And Emma, as she was walking out the door, she's like, I'm going to leave my phone here. I was like, fuck it, me too. Yes. And we walked and we talked and we just soaked in the beauty that was sunset, and I went for a swim, and it was just perfect. It wasn't a worry, like no one could contact us, and it was just really nice. And it's been so long since I've had a moment like that. It was just, yeah, and just talking about that really reminded me of like, you know, being able to ground and being able to soak into that space and, you know, become a part of the bigger picture.
Yeah. Check in, touch base,
beautiful.
see what the big man's doing.
I reckon, brother. I reckon that might wrap us up for Ep 4. If you didn't follow that one, guys, I know we probably tangented a little bit, but we really wanted to touch on, you know, the relationships of internal and external factors in our life, what we project on ourselves and what we project on other people.
Taking ownership, being responsible of that, and recognizing that you're not wrong, you're not right. It just is what it is, and you have to act and adapt to change things to how you want them to be.
Yeah. Went slightly longer for episode 4. Let us know what you think, if the content was up to scratch. But thanks again, guys. We really appreciate the listens and the views. We love the feedback, so keep it coming in. We're really enjoying this ride, so thanks for being a part of it.
Much love. Thank you.
Yeah.